Hello, hello, I am the Flying Deutschman, and welcome back to another segment of the Flying Film Reviews. Yes, we are indeed back, and today we will be discussing a TV show. Now, I will be talking about the second season of this show, and I bet you know which one I will be discussing. But first, I need to get into something a little bit more professional, and so I'll see you in 3, 2, 1. There we go. Now, I'm looking a little bit better for you. Alright, enough of that. Let's get down to business. And so if you're ready, and if I'm ready, and if we're both ready, without further ado, let us get started. And today I will be discussing a TV show, and that TV show is on its second season, and it is a psychological thriller, otherwise known as You. Now, yes, this is the review of the second season because the first season came out when I was going to school before I started any of this wonderful film review stuff. And so I'll do a really quick little thing on that season 1. It's great. It's binge worthy. Just watch it and then watch season 2, and then you can watch this review and you can see what I'm talking about. Aha, there we go. All right, moving on to season 2, which is where I really want to start talking about. All right, this show stars Penn Badgley as Will Bettelheim, otherwise known as Joe Goldberg in season 1, and the new love interest Victoria Pedretti as Love. Now, season 1 did take place in New York, and season 2 is now taking place in the lovely city of Los Angeles. Now, we come to find out that Joe, otherwise known as Will, is not very excited about living here, but due to certain circumstances, Joe had to relocate and disappear and become a totally different person, hence the name Will Bettelheim. Now, he did steal that identity from someone and put them in a glass cage like he did in season 1. Again, watch season 1 and then watch season 2 because it's so good. But yes, there is a glass cage involved. Creepy stuff, I know. But that is how he got Will Bettelheim. He actually did kidnap a guy named Will Bettelheim and pretty much stole his identity because he had the perfect identity. No social media, no contacts, no nothing on the internet or around the world. He was a ghost, hence why he took it. But this time, Will wants to change. He does not want what happened in New York to happen in LA. So he's changing his ways. He's becoming a new person and not going to kill people. Sounds good, right? Well, that doesn't last long when he meets Love, the new love interest in this show. And like in the first season, he clings on, just like he did with the love interest in the first season. And as you can guess, he became his normal, creepy, stalkerish self. Now, some girls I've heard think that they want to date Joe. Like, they'd love a real Joe in real life. I don't quite understand that, but hey, you do you, I guess. Moving on. As the story progresses, we get more and more in depth with these characters and understand what they are doing. Now, the ending of this show is quite different than I was expecting because the love interest turns out to be someone that is is like him in the sense that he wants to protect people and take care of people. It just doesn't always turn out right because we learn that Joe's childhood was not a very good one, which we could have expected from what happened in season 1. He did not have very good parents. His mom was okay, but his dad was not the greatest character and role model in his life. And we later find out that his mom pretty much ended up abandoning him. So that's awesome. You can understand why he feels this way because his dad was abusive to his mom, so he wants to protect him because he wanted to protect his mom. But now in love life, he takes that protection just a little too far. Well, not just a little, he takes it way too far. And so that is where the conflict within this season happens. And we, like I said, we learn a little bit more about his character, which is great. So that's just a little quick rundown of what this season is about. Will trying to change, otherwise known as Joe, trying to change his ways and become a better person. It just doesn't really happen that way. And again, Love, Victoria Pedretti, she's a little different than we expect from the first half of this season. The second half, we get to learn a little bit more on what she is like, and it really kind of turns out that they are somewhat of a perfect match. It's pretty crazy, but a turn that I did not see coming. So the end of this season got me very excited to see what was going to be happening in season 3, because season 3 has been confirmed, and the two characters, Joe/Will and Love, will return. Now, I do want to talk about the aspect of Joe/Will. He's a character that you honestly, you root for. At certain points, you're like, yeah, I want this to happen. I want good things to happen to you. And then he does bad things, and you're like, oh, that's not good. But then when bad things start to happen to him, you're like, oh no, I don't want that to happen, because it's beautiful writing and beautiful acting where they make you feel for him. Even though he is a serial killer, you're like, go, yeah, find love. Like, love the passion, and love at certain points throughout the show, but find love, you can do it. But then you also are like, I'm rooting for this guy. What? Why? What? Maybe that's just me, but I feel like that's where it's a lot. Hence why some girls are like, I want to date a real life Joe. It's like, I don't know if you do. Yes, find someone who loves you and takes care of you and feels that way for you, but not to that degree, the stalkerish degree. The character is so different, and I love it. I do, because again, you don't know whether you're bad for rooting for him or if it's good to root for him. It's kind of confusing, but that is what I love about you. Not you. Well, I love all of you, but not you the show. That is what I love about this show, is this character is complex in so many different ways. He's sort of simple, but then when we find out more about him, it's like, wow, this character has had some stuff happen, hence why he does what he does. Now, I don't agree with any of it. Stalking, the killing, obviously, God, that should have been number one. The killing or the stalking and everything else that he does to get love and feel that connection. Now, again, you feel for him, like, all right, he wants to change. Good for him. He's still a killer, but good for him. Let's change. Let's make this happen. But it just doesn't. Once you are the way you are, it's very hard to change, especially someone who is him, who grew up like this, and it's just at this point in his DNA. But you do root for him. You want things to go well. You want him to be able to change, and you want them to live happily ever after, like always. That's where you have that battle within yourself. Is it good that I root for him? Is it not good that I root for him? What do I do? What do I feel? And you just get hooked. You just binge. You're sitting there like, all right, what's gonna happen? Come on, Joe. And you're like, oh, that was a bad move. And oh, that's good. That was not so hot. And you fall in love with the character. Now, Love is a very interesting character because she has had a troubled past as well, as you learn in the beginning of the show. So it's like you kind of feel for her. It's like, okay, well, you've had a troubled past. She was married and her husband got sick and died, and Joe has had a troubled past. So you can see where the two would connect, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe this can work. Maybe things will happen. And as the story progresses and progresses and progresses, we learn more and more about Love and her family and what has all transgressed in their past that has led them to her future, because her family has not been the greatest for her as well. Now, her brother is an important person to her. Her mom and dad, not so much. So you can see where they relate. Joe's parents weren't the greatest parents. Love's parents weren't the greatest parents, so hey, that's a connection. At the very end, we learn Love is maybe not so innocent as we first thought, which just makes the end of this season even more mind-blowing. It's like, oh, I remember when I watched the episode and we learned all that stuff, it was like, oh no, what? Okay, this just got even better when you thought maybe it couldn't. It did, and it makes you very excited for season 3. So yes, these two characters, now all the other characters are obviously very intriguing, especially the brother and what happened with his past, but these two characters, you'd think not alike at all, but they are, and that's what makes this season even more intriguing, because they are similar in a sense, and you will learn that when you watch the season. Now, the story arc of this season is sort of like the first season, where we first meet Joe. He's single, trying to change, but then he meets the girl, and everything starts going up from there. Up from there, he's doing this stalker things, and he's trying to win her over, but then he hits a plateau because he realizes, no, he's trying to change. He can't hurt her. He doesn't want to hurt her. He wants to be involved with her, but he doesn't because he doesn't want to hurt her. He is trying to change, and so he plateaus. There's just a plateau that happens. But Love sort of changes his mind after a couple episodes, and so he goes from plateauing to skyrocketing all the way to the top, and the affection is there, the lust is there, and they fall for each other. Now, like all good love stories, you get to that peak and then something happens, and in this case, she finds out that his name is really not Will Bettelheim, it's Joe Goldberg. And so you're at that climax, and that climax falls. Love is gone, literally. The feeling and the person, she is gone, and Joe is now alone. Like in the first season when that happens, he is struggling with being single again, and some things progress where he tries to fill that need, but it just doesn't work out. Though in the end, they do win each other back. Or I should say, he wins her back because they are meant for each other, as we find out in the end of the season. And so the end of this season is very different, because he does not end up, ends up killing people in this season, but he does not end up killing his love interest, which makes it even more exciting for season 3, like I have said now many times before. But so that is the main arc, and I enjoyed that. It was familiar, but it was different because he's trying to change, and instead of just going all the way for it, we actually see his character really trying to change, and he's not wanting to get involved. But the girl in this case pushes and pushes and pushes and wants to be with him, and ends up breaking him in a sense and allowing him to be himself and win him over, and then he wins her over, and it's love everlasting, we think. And with that, I really did enjoy this story. Again, it was a little different, but a little familiar, and it just meshed really, really well, I felt, and it was a good place to continue from season 1, because I wasn't sure how they were going to continue with that, but I really, really did enjoy it. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is I really did enjoy the flashbacks in this season, because we found out a little bit more of Candace on what all happened with her, because we didn't really know. We were told about Candace in season 1, but we didn't really figure out much about her until this season. And with the flashbacks, we got to learn a little bit more on what transgressed throughout their time and what really happened that night where we thought that Joe/Will killed her, but really didn't, and that's when she showed up at the end of season 1. So that is why I really did enjoy the flashbacks, because we got to learn a lot more about Candace and who she was as a person. Now, the other flashbacks that I really did appreciate were Joe's childhood, because we, again, didn't know a whole lot about how he was raised or what really happened in his past to make him who he was in the present. And with these flashbacks, we really now got to understand what all happened and why he is the way he is today and why he thinks the way he does. Again, I really do enjoy flashbacks. Sometimes they can be a little too much, but in this sense, I felt that they were just right. They were needed to help us progress the story of these characters and to see what all happened with them. It gave us more insight so that we could learn to, in a weird way, feel more for these characters, because now we know more about who they are, which just helps progress the story and make us more intrigued and pull us in and make us want more and more. I mean, heck, I finished this show in literally 3 days. It would have been 2, but I was very busy one day and I didn't get to watch it all. I could have, but I finished it in 3 days. I mean, you could watch it in one day. It is such a binge-worthy show. Lastly, I want to say this show keeps you on your toes. You think you maybe know what's going to happen next, and then it happens and you're like, that was completely different, but you love it and you want to see more. Lastly, I just want to say that this show really does keep you on your toes. You think you know what's going to happen next, and then it's completely different, but you're glad because it's even better than what you thought. The writing is brilliant for this show. Everything about this show is brilliant because it's simple, yet very intricate. You wouldn't think that there's this much to a show like this, but there is. This psychological thriller is very, very, very well done, and like I've said before, I am very, very, very excited to see what season 3 has in store. And so, if you have not seen season 1 yet, please go watch season 1. You will love it. You'll be able to finish it in a day or two if you have nothing else to do. And then watch season 2 right after that in another day or two. And then you will understand what I'm talking about and why this show is so binge-worthy and so good. And you will fight within yourself on, what? I'm rooting for this character? Whatever. I like the show too much. Let's watch. And so, please go do that. And I mean, you don't have to binge it if you don't want to. Take your time. But I guarantee you're going to want to binge it, and you're just going to want to stay home from work and do nothing and just watch it, because you're just going to want to stay glued to your TV and just watch. Yeah, just watch. And with that creepy last image, I will end this segment here. And so thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button below and subscribe if you haven't already, because I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm having a grand old time doing these film reviews for you, and I hope you are enjoying them as well. Comment below if there's a certain film or TV show that you would like me to review, because I am more than happy to do it. I love doing these things, and I love watching shows. It's my passion in life, and I'm so glad I can share it with you. And so once again, thank you so much for watching, and like always, I will see y'all later. Peace.